What's up YouTube, Gemini Johnny back again with another compilation of creepy TikToks to make you question everything. This is day 19 of our TikToktober series, and I'm taking you through the weirdest, creepiest, and most disturbing footage I can find. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Alright, let's see what's up with these cosmonauts.
These cosmonauts encountered angels. In 1984, 3 cosmonauts encountered something unexplainable aboard the Salyut 7 space station. Well, you see, the cosmonauts were studying the Earth's atmosphere when the space station's interior started flooding with a warm golden light. Trying to find the source of illumination, they peered out of the porthole, and to their astonishment, they saw several ethereal humanoid figures, each measuring approximately 10 meters in height, sporting delicate wings and serene expressions. And as unbelievable as it may sound, the cosmonauts documented the whole incident, capturing photos and making detailed notes for a whole 10 minutes before the apparitions vanished. Some speculated that this could either be an extraterrestrial encounter or something of divine presence, while others dismissed it as hallucinations. But till this day, no one has an explanation for what was witnessed. With all the evidence presented,
Morbid Facts, Part 74. A South African man named Martin Pistorius lived through anyone's worst nightmare. When he was 12 years old, Martin got sick and fell into a coma where he remained in a vegetative state for 12 years. Or at least, that's what doctors thought. Because 2 years into the coma, Martin regained consciousness but was unable to show any sign of it. He had entered a state known as locked-in syndrome, where the patient is aware but can't move or communicate due to complete paralysis of all voluntary muscles other than the eyes. So he was trapped in a lifeless state for more than a decade while being fully aware of everything going on around him. He said the worst part was when his caretaker would sit him in front of baby TV shows like Barney and Teletubbies all day long. On multiple occasions, he also heard his mother say, "I hope you die." Luckily, his caretaker eventually noticed that he was responding to her words with his eyes, and doctors finally confirmed that he was conscious. Today, Martin can speak through a computer and move with a wheelchair, but will be forever haunted by that unfathomable experience.
These are celebrities and putting the serial killer behind bars. Ashton Kutcher was supposed to go on a date with the girl one night, and he told the girl he would pick her up at 10. But as 10 o'clock came closer, he tried calling her and she never answered. He then went to her apartment and looked through the window and saw what he thought was red wine stains on the couch and floor. Assuming she didn't want to go on a date with him, he just left. But the truth was, her body was lying dead in the bathroom. It was the Hollywood Ripper who did it. Kutcher then testified and established a timeline for the murder, which really helped the Hollywood Ripper get convicted and sentenced to death. Next up, Woody Harrelson's father was actually a hitman for hire and responsible for at least a dozen murders, including that of a federal judge and possibly even President John F. Kennedy. We all think Lee Harvey Oswald assassinated John F. Kennedy, but Charles Harrelson, Woody Harrelson's dad, said he was way too far away to make the shot, and claims that he was the one.
I ordered a cooking book from the dark web.
Warning. Unsettling images.
Why didn't the last video have a warning?
Hi.
So I want to make a long video about this on YouTube, but of course you guys get the Spark Notes first. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. In the last couple of months, artificial intelligence have been taken to new heights. For example, now you can listen to people like XXXTentacion or Michael Jackson or Biggie Smalls, people that have been passed away for quite some time. You can listen to them drop new music unofficially on YouTube channels with the help of AI. Where things start to cross into terrifying and uncanny valley territory is when you start getting into the world of AI-generated art. The most prominent example that I can give to you would be the case of Loab. If you have not heard of Loab, allow me to tell you the entirety of the story. This all comes from Twitter user and artist Supercomposite when she went onto an AI text-to-image generator and really wanted to test the limitations of the AI. Obviously, this isn't the exact same thing that she put in there. I'm just using this as a reference. But what she put into the prompt box was Brando : ::1. Brando is the last name of the actor Marlon Brando, who we know from Godfather's Part 1 and 2. The semicolons are meant to separate the different values, and -1 is basically telling the AI that she wants an image as far away from Brando as it could possibly get. To break that down even further, all she wanted to do was to see what the AI thought the furthest thing from Marlon Brando was, and that is what the -1 input means, to get as far away from the original prompt as possible. When the AI was finally finished with the prompt and generated the image, this is what popped up. It is Digita Pentax over a black skyline. Just as you thought, Digita Pentax means nothing. It is gibberish, and the skyline means nothing as well. So what she thought was, okay, if this is the exact opposite of Marlon Brando, if I put Digita Pentax into the prompt box and generate, will it then give me a picture of Marlon Brando? No. No, it did not. Because instead, it gave her Loab, or as I call it, Loab, because there's an A there. As you can probably tell, the only reason she calls it Loab or Loab is because that's the only discernible word that she could have made out and put into another prompt. That is exactly what she did. She took Loab or Loab and she put it into the prompt box and hit generate, and what followed was quite disturbing, because instead of the AI just generating a brand new image from that prompt, it just kept generating the same woman over and over again. Supercomposite took the image of Loab and then crossbred it with another AI generated image that her friend had made to try and either completely negate Loab out of the picture or at least attach Loab to the other picture, which was a picture of a beautiful sunset or whatever it may be. Maybe it would have the picture of Loab in the sunset looking at least a little less terrifying. Instead, all it did was amplify the creepiness of what Loab is and showed her in more grotesque images as she continued to generate. As in, for this one, it shows Loab and another woman with what looks like a deformed baby in the middle. In this picture is also a more deformed and grotesque version of Loab, but only this time it looked like she had committed a murder. The more Supercomposite messed around with Loab and what else it could do, the more grotesque and disturbing the images became. For example, this image, which has the appearance of several shrunken heads, and also you can clearly make out that this is or was Loab's face. Finally, perhaps the most disturbing photo I have to show you is this one. All of that came from Brando : ::1. Of course, all pictures are belonging to Supercomposite, and if you would like to keep up with the Loab story, because yes, it is still going on, you can go follow her on Twitter and check out her progress as she works through what exactly Loab is. Want to watch a video on it? I highly recommend Nextpo's video on AI art because it is very interesting and very terrifying. Of course, in the next coming days, I will upload my own videos with my own findings.
This castle has a...
Well, I'm gonna have to go find that girl and follow her story on Twitter because that is insane. Loab, if you're listening, I come in peace. And that video that he's talking about, the Nexpo video about AI art, is really good. I've never been so fascinated and terrified by something that I have nothing to do with and no control over as I am of AI.
This castle has a prison inside with a very gruesome history, and Larry is supposed to be helping, but yet again he's gotten distracted, so I'll tell you guys what's happened, but he's gonna have to start pulling his weight soon. This is Colchester Castle, and there are so many horrific stories about this place, but today I'm going to tell you about one of the worst. James Parnell was an 18-year-old Quaker who was arrested after disrupting a church service. He was charged with blasphemy and taken to the county jail in Colchester Castle. He was acquitted and fined £40, but didn't pay for unknown reasons, and so he remained imprisoned. And this is where it gets bloody. He was treated extremely cruelly by his captors, and was made to climb a rope to retrieve what little food they provided him with. On one occasion, he fell while climbing the rope and was badly injured. Left in considerable pain, his health began to deteriorate. Eventually, he died due to being so weak that he could not eat. He was given the nickname of the Boy Martyr and is often credited as the first to die for the Quaker faith. Buried in an unmarked grave on the castle grounds, visitors of Colchester Castle still hear his ghost screaming in.
Unit 731 was a covert research and development unit of the Imperial Japanese Army during the Second Sino-Japanese War and World War II. This unit specialized in biological and chemical warfare and engaged in horrific human experimentation and the production of biological weapons. Its actions resulted in the deaths of an estimated 200,000 to 300,000 people. The victims were subjected to a range of cruel experiments, including disease injections, dehydration, biological weapons testing, hypobaric pressure chamber testing, vivisection, and amputations. Some individuals had their limbs amputated to study blood loss, and at times, the severed limbs were reattached to the opposite side of their bodies. Stomachs were surgically removed, with the esophagus then reattached to the intestines in certain cases. Other victims had parts of their organs, such as the brain, lungs, and liver, forcibly removed. In addition, subjects were subjected to excruciating trials, including deprivation of food and water to determine the time until death, exposure to low-pressure chambers until their eyes bulged out, experimentation on the effects of temperature and burns on human survival, and execution by hanging upside down. They were also crushed with heavy objects, electrocuted, dehydrated with hot fans, exposed to deadly centrifugal forces, injected with animal blood like horse blood, exposed to lethal doses of X-rays, tested with chemical weapons inside gas chambers, injected with seawater, being burned or buried alive. The extent of suffering and cruelty inflicted upon these victims is beyond comprehension.
This would have been the most disturbing way to die. These are the 48 seconds of horror the passengers on board the Titan submersible went through before the Titan completely imploded. So this isn't confirmed, but a sub-expert and a merchant marine said that this is a very probable scenario, and is most likely what happened to the Titan. According to the expert, the Titan was descending calmly until about 5,500 feet, at which point it had an electrical failure, and that's when it got real. At that point, the expert believes the Titan would have started to quickly plunge, straight down at a vertical angle, just like throwing a rock into a body of water. And he believes it would have done that for about 48 to 71 seconds, till it reached the depths of 8,200 and 8,900 feet, at which point the implosion would have taken place. The weight of everyone in the sub would have been around 880 pounds, and they would have basically fallen and collapsed on top of each other, in complete darkness, sinking to the bottom of the ocean, completely aware of the situation going on around them. And all of this is happening in a very fast freefall to the bottom of the ocean. The expert also says by descending so abruptly, the Titan would have been subjected to an extreme amount of pressure, and combined with the pressure that was already in the sub, meaning it would have been so quick and the people inside would have died instantly. But that freefall from 48 to 71 seconds, free-falling in the pitch darkness towards the bottom of the ocean, is so scary to think about, and I can't imagine being in that situation.
The Ammons haunting case, also known as the Indiana Demon House case, is a chilling paranormal investigation that gained significant attention due to its disturbing and unexplained phenomena. It revolves around the Ammons family, who claim to have experienced terrifying supernatural occurrences in their home in Gary, Indiana, during the years 2011 and 2012.
It's always in Gary.
LaToya Ammons, the mother of 3 children, first noticed strange phenomena shortly after moving into the rental house on Carolina Street. The family began experiencing unexplained phenomena, including footsteps, disembodied voices, and strange shadow figures. As the activity intensified, they realized they were dealing with something far beyond their understanding. One of the most unsettling incidents involved LaToya's 12-year-old daughter levitating above her bed, reportedly with a trance-like expression. The family also reported feeling a sinister presence in the house, witnessing mysterious wet footprints appearing on the floor, and witnessing their children being thrown across the room by an unseen force. The younger son of the Ammons family was said to have exhibited unsettling behavior during the haunting. Witnesses claimed that he displayed a disturbing phenomenon where his eyes rolled into the back of his head, and he uttered chilling phrases such as, "It's time to die," and "I will kill you." Alarmed by the escalating events, LaToya sought help from various religious figures, including local churches and clairvoyants, but none were successful in alleviating the disturbing activity. Eventually, the family turned to local authorities for assistance. When the case came to the attention of the Department of Child Services, DCS, officials became involved due to concerns about the children's safety. DCS case manager Valerie Washington visited the home and allegedly witnessed bizarre incidents, such as one of the children being lifted and thrown against the wall by an invisible force. These encounters led Washington to believe that an evil presence was haunting the family. Paranormal investigators, including renowned demonologist Reverend Michael Maginot, were also called in to investigate. They documented anomalous audio recordings, witnessed furniture moving on its own, and reported feeling intense cold spots and malevolent energy within the house. As news of the Ammons family's haunting spread, it attracted national and international media attention, generating both fascination and skepticism. Skeptics questioned the credibility of the family's claims, attributing the incidents to mental health issues or elaborate hoaxes. However, those directly involved in the case maintained the authenticity of their experiences. Ultimately, the Ammons family moved out of the house in 2012, leaving the haunted property behind. Although the paranormal activity ceased after their departure, the case remains a subject of intense debate and intrigue in the paranormal community. The Ammons haunting case serves as a chilling reminder of the unknown forces that can sometimes infiltrate our lives. Whether one believes in the supernatural or not, the unexplained events experienced by the Ammons family continue to raise profound questions about the nature of reality and the existence of...
Man, I think I've heard of that story before, but I didn't remember all of it, and that is crazy. As soon as they said DCS was getting involved, it's like, this isn't going anywhere good. Then the DCS lady saw it too, so, you know, that helps.
With her daughter one night when this happened. User Mixie uploaded a disturbing video where she explains that at 11 p.m. while recording a video of her daughter to send to her husband, she captures this. Her daughter is seen talking to someone we can't see. But suddenly, this happens. Go away! She asks whatever's in the room with them to go away as she runs towards her mother.
Creepy things to never ask Google. Don't ask, show me everything Facebook knows about. Google will lead you to an article that exposes the dark secrets of how Facebook functions. Don't ask, am I in the Matrix right now? It will result in the following iconic answer. Would you like the red pill or blue pill?
Never Tell Me the Odds, Part 26. In 1974, a photographer was snapping photos of two amateur street mimes in Central Park. 35 years later, he discovered that one of them was actor Robin Williams before he became famous. Alexander I of Yugoslavia refused to make a public appearance on a Tuesday after 3 of his family members died on a Tuesday. After finally being forced to appear on a Tuesday, he was promptly assassinated. A Reddit user from California was gaming in his room when a stray bullet went through his window and struck him in the head. But he was miraculously saved by his Razer headset, which prevented the bullet from piercing his skull. Speaking of skulls, in 1983, a British man confessed to the murder of his wife after a female skull was found in a peat bog near his home. He was convicted of her 1961 murder based on this confession. But it turned out that the skull actually belonged to a woman who had died 1800 years earlier. After this discovery, the man with—
I have what is believed to be found footage from the Aaron Everwood's videotape. You're not terribly familiar with the story. There was a videotape in 2001 that was dropped off at a police station in South Florida. But what's on it is really what's disturbing here. Just this chilling collection of strange footage that's kind of scrappily compiled together. Like analog images of different spots from around this town, from different parts outside of the state. It was haunting because truly nobody knew who was behind this. But why did police fixate on this tape, and why is it called the Aaron Everwood tape? It's because of this image. This is one frame in that video. This is a shot of Aaron Everwood, who was a 19-year-old girl who went missing just about 2 months prior to the tape being found. Police have really scrutinized on this image because she's smiling, but it doesn't look natural. It looks like it's a forced smile, right? Zoom in, it's almost like she's crying.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. The girl in this photo was arrested for torturing and killing animals. She filmed herself doing it and even posted it online. She hanged her dogs by their collars, nailed them to walls, and even shot them with an airsoft gun. She would then cut them open and rip out their internal organs. This sweet-looking little girl is Jeannie, also known as the Wild Child, who spent the first 13 years of her life chained to a chair, and this photo was taken moments after she'd just been rescued. This normal-looking scenic painting features the ocean with the night sky. However, it was painted by Adolf Hitler, whose dream in life was to become an artist. However, he failed the entrance exam to art school and ultimately gave up. This photo of Richard Hickok and Perry Smith shows 2 murders after hearing that they've been sentenced to death. They murdered a family of 4 and planned to rob them, but they found nothing worth stealing except for a mere $50. The girl on the left is wearing a wire. The girl on the right has no idea. Together they stabbed one of their friends to death, and the girl on the left confessed to the police and is now cooperating with them. Besides the pixelation, this looks like a couple getting married surrounded by their loved ones. However, all the children in this photo were horribly physically and mentally abused until a couple of them managed to escape.
Scary facts that will make your skin crawl. Does a portal to another dimension really exist? In 1997, a man by the name of Mel Waters called an American radio show rang, claiming that he had a hole in his backyard that was 80,000 feet deep and supernatural things were starting to happen. Mel claimed that during the day a black beam would shoot out of the hole into the sky. He also said that a neighbor dumped his dead dog's body into the hole, and the next day the dog was outside alive. Mel's property was right next to a military base, and shortly after that first phone call, Mel claimed that the government tried to silence him and pay him out so he would never talk about this hole ever again. And then later a satellite photo was taken of where Mel's property supposedly was, but it was completely blotted out with a big white square. This is actually a clip from the phone call.
I've got Mel on the line. Mel's the guy with the never-ending hole. Right now I'm in a little town called Ellensburg. Oh, I know Ellensburg. Oh, you really think you've got 80,000?
Yes. Yeah, I get line in 5,000 yard spools. I've gone through that many. As usual, I brought the dogs with me. They wouldn't go anywhere near the damn thing, and if I try to bring them there on a leash, they'll just dig their feet in. They do not want to go anywhere near the hole.
So, what do you think? Follow along from...
That was a whole multi-part series that guy called in, and he said the government came out and was like, wouldn't let him near the hole and all kinds of stuff, but I'm pretty sure it turned out to be a hoax. So, no eternal hole. So there you have it, folks. Day 19 in the books. If you're enjoying this series so far, you can check out the entire playlist at the link in the description below, or you can just click over here. Or maybe it's over here. I always forget. And until next time, which is tomorrow, peace!